Creo Parametric 4.0, Lesson 14. In the next lesson here, we're going to do a blend feature and start off new part. I'm going to sketch on my front datum plane and do a simple extrusion. And you'll notice it's coming in with a polar grid. I previously set up the options for Sketcher to be a spacing of 0.5, 30 degrees in between 12 radial lines, show the grid and snap to the grid. So the most important here is polar. Click OK. And you won't need it for this particular feature because here all we're doing is a simple circle, nothing else. And it's going to be 9 inches. And it's going to be 0.75 for the thickness. That looks thicker than I wanted. I think it's 0.5. Oh, it's 0.25. So double click on here, double click on the number here, and I have a thin one. So my next feature is going to be the blend. So under the shapes group here, blend, I'm going to click on sections to see what's happening here. I'm going to define my first section, and it's going to be on this face. And I will go to my 2D and hidden line so I can see my grid a little bit better. And I'm going to put in some center lines, vertical, horizontal, and then a couple other ones at 60 degrees, like so. Now a blend must have equal amount of elements or entities. So it has to go from 3 to 3 to 3 or to 4 to 4 to 4. Here we're going to put in some arcs, and they're going to be center and then ends, center, ends, and center ends. So 3 separate entities. It'll be shaded because the feature requirements are met. The starting point can be any end point. I can change the starting point. I want it to be up here. So the next section, it automatically pops to that. I'm going to put it 3 inches away. Sketch. And I'm going to draw 3 lines. By the way, it looks to me like the spacing of the sketching is wrong. It doesn't have to be anything different, but I'm going to go up here and take a look at my grid and see what I've got. Polar, it's supposed to be 0.5. So I can do it right in the sketch here and I can change it. So I want to have 3 lines this time. So I'm going to make sure I create an equilateral triangle. Just 1 line. Again, the starting point, if you put the starting point down here, then it'll give a twisted surface in between the 2 sections. Now, one of the things here is I like all these to be equal, so I want these to all be equal, like so. And I want to have this dimension here be 4. And I want some symmetry. Let's see if I need some symmetry. So I'm going to select the center line and the 2 endpoints. It didn't want to give it to me again. That's interesting. I'm not sure why. It should allow me to put some symmetry in there. I'm going to leave it for right now. Oh, I see. I'm not on my grid anymore either. I don't think that's the reason why, though. For some reason, I've been having trouble with this polar grid, but I'm going to leave it right now. and right mouse button check, and you'll see a preview between the two sections. Now, the book has you stop at this one. We're going to add a third section, and we'll make that 4 inches away. Sketch. Go back over to my sketch view and turn off the shading so we can see it a little bit better. And in this case, let's do an arc again. So starting, ending. I'm getting a little sloppy here. I should have put in my center lines, but I'm not going to bother. Like so. Now, one of the things I want to do while I'm here, I'm going to click on this and then change it into a diameter dimension. And I should have done it with the other one also. This one. So, right mouse button check, and you can see the smooth transition. If you look at options here, straight will make it look like this. Smooth. And in my sections, if I want to go back at any time, I could take a look at them. How about the first one? And you can see I've got this dimension. I want that to be a diameter. And I think it's supposed to be 7.75. And I think I'll just make it 7. The book says 7.75. Check. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when you hand in your project, you can make this look any way you want. You want to add a third or fourth or fifth section. Whatever you want to do is fine. It makes it more interesting. Check. Like so. And we have our blend. Now, what we want to do is we want to put some holes in here around the edge, around the flange. So I'm going to click on the hole tool, pick in this area right here. And I'm going to make sure that this is going to be a diameter. Okay. And what I want to do is want to select the axes. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to do that as a second piece here. Axes. And I want this to be diameter. Hold down my control key and I'm going to select this as the other reference. So this one I want to be 60 degrees. I want this to be through all. 0.4 is okay for the hole. And my diameter here, so I was right. The other one wasn't supposed to be 7. This should be 7.75. I will have to relook and see what the other one is. Main thing is it'll fail if I try to do a particular thing at the end here because the distance between the edge and here is not sufficient. But let's see what happens. So that finishes the hole. Keep it selected, right mouse button, you're going to get a pattern, and we want to use a axis pattern this time. And we want it to be at 60 degrees and be 6 of them. Like so. Now, we select our surface here and we shell it, and we could even shell the other side like that. You hold down your control key and complete the project. Now, one of the things is maybe you do not want to have these little boss-like features. So we're going to take this shell and bring it before the patterned holes. Control D. So if you double click on this, you get a lot of options. I'm going to turn this off, see if that helps. And let's go into the no hidden. So we are going to click on edit. You can see these are the dimensions that show up. So to get other dimensions for this object, this feature, you have to go into the command itself. So you can't just display dimensions. You'd have to edit the definition of it. And from there, each one of the sections, you can go back and you can change to whatever you want. Go into the second one. If you wanted to change this size, you can do that. You can see it change the shape. I guess we should maybe look at one more thing, and that's, let's go back into the blend here. And we have our options. There's our straight. This is our smooth. You can change the tangency of it too, but we won't. Check. Just to check it out and see if everything's okay on it. It looks fine. Yours will look different. And again, try to be a little bit more innovative. Make it not look like a truncated tusk or something like mine. And that is our blend command. Good idea to practice a few. A couple rules. Every section will be parallel to the previous section. Every section will have the same total amount of entities in it. I mean, there's one more thing we could probably try to do, and that's add another. Let's make this one at 5 distance away. Sketch. And we'll go into the 2D. And I'm going to put in a point. See what happens. Check. So it will allow you to go down to a point. But look what else fails. Because it can't shell this, it will fail the shell at this point. It doesn't like what's going on here with the shape. So the shell, we could delete it, and we still would have our holes in there. But the shell is not possible. You can try different sizes with the shell, but I think no matter what it is, no, I put it very small and it still failed. It's not going to display, it means it doesn't work. So it will go out to 1 point if you want it to. But everything is normally equal. So we have 3 sections here and a point. The 3 sections all have the same amount of elements. That's the end of lesson 14.